Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. This is Anna Chaos, and I know it's been a couple weeks. I apologize. As you guys know, if I mentioned this before, I'm one of the folks that got laid off early on in 2025. So I've been an avid freelancer since I got laid off. So whenever work shows up, I go. So that's been one thing. The other challenge that I ran into is that even though I updated my computer and I had new parts, I had massive computer failure where my motherboard fried. So that became an entire ordeal. And for those of you guys who are dealing with like computers, especially RAM and all that stuff, you know it's been a really crazy market. So that was a whole thing. But now that that's done, it's been resolved and things have ramped down, I'm back making videos. So here I am. Ha! Yes, I still live. But anyway, so let's talk about today's video. So today I'm going to go back and take you all the way back to Nickelodeon's Fanboy and Chum Chum. And that pretty much goes back to 2009-2010 era. And these were done by Jazwares. And I gotta be honest, I found these randomly. I think it was like a Ross. It was like, I just thought they were really interesting at the time. And to be honest, I really liked the design. I liked the design. So I'm once in a while, at least back in that era, if I saw something, I really liked the design, I would just grab it. And I used to watch the show. So yeah. Now, Fanboy and Chum Chum was a really fun kids show. Like I said, I like watching kids show because it just turns up your brain and it's just something fun. And to me, I really enjoy watching the animation and the storyline and some of the paneling. So for me, it was also kind of work related. But what's really cool about the show is that at the time it only had 2 seasons, so it didn't last very long on Nickelodeon. But it had a really pretty big fan base at the time. Like I remember they merchandised the crap out of the show, but I barely saw any action figures for the show. And I happened to grab again a couple of them. So I've kind of kept them all these years. I normally keep them in like plastic. So this is the first time I have unpacked these in probably a decade. So I'm going to repackage them to get them in stronger plastic because this is starting to fall apart. So I'm going to repackage them after this. But for the most part, the show was really fun. It was about 2 kids that, they loved comic books. They had their favorite. It was like an Arctic type superhero. And they kind of wore their own, like, early stage cosplay of their personas. And they went on little adventures. And it was really fun. And the show was, I think it's around 50, 60 episodes between the 2 seasons. So it was really quirky. It was just a traditional fun show, nothing too crazy. We'll have a couple things that will carry over from like episode to episode, but you literally can jump in at any point and you will be pretty much good to go. But anyway, with that, guys, let's go ahead and take a closer look at these figures and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and take a closer look. As I pretty much mentioned, this is a 2009 show. And this was by Eric Robles. And originally, I believe it was based off of a short. Yeah, there it is. An animated short created by Robles for Animation Studio, Nickelodeon's Animation Studios, and Free-to-Tour Studios. And later on, it became Fanboy and Chum Chum as we know it. And pretty much right here, it talks about Fanboy and Chum Chum. They're just 2 kids having misadventures, pretty much pretending to be heroes. And they're pretty much getting some, shenanigans that they go to the show. Now, I have to be corrected because I thought there were around 50 shows. It turned out there was way more shows than I thought. So they had the original pilot aired in 2007, and then the first season was 52 episodes, and the second season was 48 episodes. Technically, by today's standards, this is almost like 7 or 8 seasons, which is crazy. The show lasted from 2009 originally to 2014, so the show was on for a while. And there really is not a lot going on in the show. I mean, like there is a lot of stuff going on, but it's not like it has a huge story arc. But you can jump at any point and then pretty much just learn about the characters and just go from there. So yes, now when it comes to the show, okay, to the toys, I realized that there wasn't a lot of figures even back in the day, and I mentioned this before. Here's a gentleman that I like to refer to. His name is Captain Toys. And he does a really good job reviewing these figures, and he has them out of the package. So this is why I always refer to him. I always try to see if he's done the reviews before, because he does a really, really good job. And this was done back in 2011. So you can see there he is talking about the characters. He took phenomenal photos of the characters. Now, I will say they do have limited articulations. You can see right here. because the way the characters were designed, they did have some articulation, but it was really limited. So right here you have the head. You kind of have shoulder, elbow, waist, and kind of quasi like knee. And then right here you have the different figure. Here's right here. So I believe this is a 6-inch figure, and this is like 3/4-inch figure, if I remember correctly. That sounds about right. And as you can see with some of these, because the way the characters were designed were so top heavy, they had to come with stands. There's just no way this character would stand in these two tiny itty bitty bitty legs. Now, the packaging for these, they're pretty cool. And I will have to say that I happened to get one of the deluxe editions, but there was also the simplified version. But you can see, you mostly get the mini figure. You don't get the big figure at all. So they're right here. There's Fanboy right there. I believe this Chum Chum up here. Yep, that's Chum Chum. And let me see what it says right here. Chum Chum is right about 2 inches, and Fanboy is about 3 inches tall. So they kind of made them pretty much just kind of, how do you say, appropriate for their height. Because it would look really weird if like Chum Chum was taller than Fanboy, around the same height. It would not make any sense at all. And you can see right here, there's the figure of, I can't remember if this guy was the villain or he was their superhero. It's been a while since I've seen the show. And then they used to have the vehicle as well. I can't remember if I have this in my collection, but I might have it. I might have it. I just have to dig around. All right, so you can see right here, here is pretty much the 3-inch figure set. There were only 4 figures to the series, and then later on there was one that was a little bigger, which unfortunately he did not talk about those at all. Now, I will have to say though, if you want these figures, I was kind of a little bit flabbergasted at how much these figures cost. Oh, by the way, if you also want a full list of all the merchandising from the show, there is a list of Fanboy and Chum Chum merchandise, and this is a pretty complete list. And I remember seeing a lot of these, but again, I wasn't a kid at the time, so I just did not care for a lot of these. But they even have like slippers and raincoats and like all kinds of stuff. And at some point, they made like one of the classmates in the class. You can see right here, there's also a couple alternative from like the blind bags that you can get. So, yeah, they made quite a few toys, but mostly the ones that I saw at the store were the ones that were in the boxes. So you have the regular, smaller set, and then you have just the Chum Chum figure by itself. So I happen to have this one, and I believe I might have the one in the car. But anyway, back to my previous thought. Okay, I will have to say I was kind of blown away by how much these figures were going for. I don't know why. It caught me off guard. It's one of those shows that I mentioned to people, and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I was kind of surprised that I went on eBay, and I saw the 2 figures were like $100. Same thing goes with the set. You're looking at $90. This one right here looking like at $60, and then you happen to have the vehicles about $108. So that was my one surprise when I was actually doing this research. So I thought that was kind of interesting. If you wonder who the manufacturer is, it's Jazwares. You can see right there the little J. Jazwares seemed to be one of the most dominant companies at the time. And I gotta be honest, I've not looked in the toy aisle recently because I've had to move so much. So I've kind of stopped collecting within the past year due to like career moves. So it's one of those things that I'm not sure if they're still the dominant player, but if you happen to know, just go ahead and put a comment below and just let me know what you've been seeing out in the field. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a closer look at these figures. Alrighty, so let's take a closer look at these figures. As I mentioned, I keep experimenting with the lights. My lights are just, like, they work good for things that are not in the packaging, but they work terribly when they're in the package because it's incredibly reflective. But anyway, so here you have the full-size Chum Chum. He is about, I'm going to say probably between 5 and 6 inches, but he comes with all these little cool accessories. He's got the little squid. He's got the Frizzy Freeze, which I used to go to the freaking, it was like their, like 7-Eleven type store. And then they have like a ball. What's the ball over here? It's like a cherry bomb. But so this version is a Toys R Us exclusive, as you can see right there. And then you have the normal figure right here. And again, this for some reason was a Toys R Us exclusive. And you can see right here, it had all these little stickers. And for him, it was just this figure with the stand at the bottom. So this was Bug. You can see right here the packaging is really cool. Same thing goes for the character. And even for him, oh, it's bubble gum. That's what that is. Change mouth accessories. So you could change between his tongue and the bubble gum. That's what I'm looking at. It's like, oh, there it is. That's the tongue. And that's the bubble gum. Oh, how did I not notice that? That's so funny. Anyway, so you could change between the accessory, and then apparently he's got vault underwear. That's a joke from the show. But it's really, really fun packaging. I will say, unfortunately, when you have these extremely unique like cuts on these packaging, it's really hard to keep them straight. And you're talking about like someone that I keep my stuff as immaculate as I can. And even then you see some damage on the packaging, and it's just the way things are. It's kind of hard to keep these things intact. And even what you do, especially if you live in the South, in the States, there's a chance that like the heat after a while will like wear down the glue, and then it will just fall apart on you. It's just facts of life. So I do my best to keep these indoors in air conditioning, and just trying to keep them as immaculate as possible. All right, guys. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy my quick look at my Fanboy and Chum Chum figures from 2009-2008 era. If you have any additional information about these figures, please go ahead and share. I do read the comments below. So yeah. And if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Like I said, I will also provide the link to that blog that I found, so that way if you want to learn more about these, you can. And like I mentioned before, I do these to share my collection. I am not going to be a freaking historian or whatever, because there's already a ton of people that do that. This is more me going, hey, look at my cool stuff. Hope you like it. Anyway, guys, if you like this type of content, just like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later. Cheers.